Back on Moncrief Hill. Started the morning with Craig, he's up there. You can see he's coming down anyway. He's stronger uphill than I am. Let's see how this morning goes. Right, Craig and I have just returned. It's just over 7.5 miles. It's usually about 7.7, so I guess the old sat navigation on the Strava is just a little bit temperamental. Positive is my knee held up for that, nowhere near the discomfort that I had 3, maybe 4 Sundays ago, I can't remember, but about a few Sundays ago, and this is the first time I've ran on Moncrief Hill since then. We are off for a coffee to catch our breath and have a bit of a blather. And what did you feel about that, Craig?
Okay, this up.
Still catching his breath. Anyway, it's the first time Craig's run Moncrief Hill, and the last. It's not the last. We'll do it again. First one's always the toughest. Now we know what we've got ahead of us. Anyway, that's it. Back on the training, I guess, properly now that I can do that kind of hills. Peace. Hello, Barney Black here, running with MS for Brain Tumour Research, and this is take 100,003. I've had a dog bothering me all evening. Now he's sleeping, we can crack on. So, I want to cover 3 things in this particular update: running, multiple sclerosis, and brain tumour research. And I will do it as quickly and as succinctly as I possibly can without too many... I can't even think of the word. Sometimes words come and go. Anyway, so, running. My running update. 3 weeks ago, I had a knee injury, beginnings of a knee injury. I began to spot the signs and I thought I need to get on top of this pretty damn quick. So I stopped all running and no gym for 8 days. I introduced additional stretches, exercises that were targeted for my knee, and then had the first proper run last Saturday. That was 10 miles with Craig. That was flat, but it was a good 10 miles, particularly after the first mile and a half when I thought we were going to have to maybe call it short. But as soon as we got off the tarmac path and onto the trails where you were much more uneven surfaces and having a kind of different mobility, different movement, everything just seemed to be great. Fast forward to yesterday, we went onto Moncrief Hill again, which was the crime scene of the knee injury beginning to reappear. We went on Moncrief Hill, did our 7.5, a little bit more than 7.5 miles, and 1,700 feet of elevation, and no issues at all. I had a couple of niggles, if truth be told, but nothing that concerns me that the continuing with exercises, stretches, and everything else won't take care of. That means stepping up to the start line at the Catran Ultra in May, which is 7 weeks or so away. It's still on. I'm about 4 weeks behind on my training, but if I can get there minus injury, all that 4 weeks means is I'll be slower than I want it to be. That's okay. Getting there and finishing is the goal. Because I'm raising money for Brain Tumour Research. I'm going to talk about Brain Tumour Research in a minute. Before I do that, I'm going to talk about multiple sclerosis and the Multiple Sclerosis Society, who I've raised money for in the past before. There's other MS societies that I'm connected with, Shift MS, the MS Society, I can't remember. Anyhow, those that know me, those that have watched previous videos know that my multiple sclerosis, I consider my multiple sclerosis to be the low end of the scale on how it impacts me personally. And I've always struggled with that because I've never really known how to position myself in the community of multiple sclerosis, because a lot of people don't have the advantages that I have. Their physical abilities have been impacted massively because of MS. Even relapsing and remitting MS, it has impacted them in ways which I've not had that experience, and led to disabilities, which again, I have not had that experience. I have had loss of sensations, particularly in my hands and legs. I have had painful sensations like the MS hug, which is a complete misnomer. It should be called the MS crush. There's been times when I had that, and I've not experienced it for a long time. It was like a heart attack, and other things as well. So for me, MS is manageable. It is a shit disease because it's always on my mind. I take a tablet AM and PM, so I can't go through a day without being reminded that I've got multiple sclerosis. And that pisses me off a little bit, because I do think, as much as I try to detach myself from that thought, it still hangs on by the slimmest of threads, and it's still there in my consciousness. And that bugs me. Because I don't want to have MS, but I'm grateful that my MS is the lower end of the scale. I'm not sure if that's a contradiction. Anyhow, I still do what I do. I can still live in a fairly normal way. If you're interested and want to know a little bit more about my MS, there are previous videos. You could even reach out and ask me directly. I'll certainly answer as honestly as I can. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert. I've got my own MS. I'm just a regular bloke dealing with that kind of stuff. What I find interesting about MS is, it was MS Awareness Week last week, and it was, funnily enough, March the 10th, 2017 that I got diagnosed. I didn't know that was coming up to the MS Awareness Week when I was diagnosed. That's just one of those odd coincidences. Another odd thing, I'm not sure if it's an odd thing, a statistical anomaly, is that there are 130,000 plus people with multiple sclerosis in the UK, and that number keeps rising because diagnosis is getting better, faster. And in Scotland, 15,000 plus people are being diagnosed or have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That means in Scotland, you are more likely to be diagnosed with MS than you are in other countries in the world. That probably doesn't make any difference if you have MS and you happen to be Spanish, French, English, Italian. But in Scotland, chances are that you are statistically more likely to be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I don't know the reasons behind that, really. And I know there are some pieces of information about being in the Northern Hemisphere and vitamin D deficiencies and all that kind of stuff. But anyhow, that's MS. Brain tumours, Brain Tumour Research. My friend Liam Bergin has a brain tumour, glioblastoma grade 4, I believe it is. If the pronunciation isn't right, again, I keep thinking I'm pronouncing that accurately. I'm not sure if I am. But that is going to kill Liam, and that's tragic on every level for Liam himself, for his family, for his friends. And brain tumours are the biggest killer of children, of cancers, and of adults under 40. And that in itself is bad enough. But of all the money that's spent on cancer research, 1% of that goes to brain tumour research. Now, I understand the brain's a complicated thing. Mine's is a very complicated thing. But that's one of the reasons, well, the main reason is I want to do what I can to support Liam and do the little bit that I can because I can still do the things that I want to do. Liam can't look forward to doing the things that he wants to do. But raising a little bit of money towards brain tumour research, in the grand scheme of things, is the least that I can do. Cancer's shit, and it's not a competition about which cancer your friends or your family are having to deal with, because they're all shit. My dad had cancer, my auntie had cancer, both eventually killed them. My dad was a lung cancer which spread to his brain. He got a brain tumour because of it. It became a secondary cancer. So cancer in itself is an absolute shite disease to end up with. I guess the reason that I'm doing the activities that I'm doing, trying to raise awareness, trying to raise money. So if you search for Barney Black on Just Giving, you'll find my page. But the reason I'm doing it for Liam is it's the least that I can do. It's not a huge stretch for me to run a few miles and hopefully at the same time do some good by raising some awareness. Anyway, before it gets too somber, I thought I'd put on my berry. It's not my berry, actually, my dad's berry. My dad must have had a smaller head than me. In fact, I think he did. But this is his berry, and I'm wearing his berry because on the 31st of March is Wear a Hat Day for Brain Tumour Research, because March is Brain Tumour Research Month. So if you've got a hat, wear it with pride. If you have got the time, please reshare this video. If you have a penny or two that you could spare, go to my Just Giving page, Barney Black. You'll find me there and you'll find the story that I have put about myself and Liam, the activities that I plan to do this year. 2 ultras, 2 official ultras, 1 half marathon, and potentially 2 other ultras which are kind of private affairs, but I'll share them. When I say private, they're not official, as I'm not signing up to an event. Anyhow, hope that was worth watching. You'll see a couple more pictures of me in other hats. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace, love, power.